Copyright. Copyright.
Wala speaker, bay?
Hindi ka na marunong, ma.
Hindi.
Mga kilala, sabi ko.
Araw-araw.
Dalawang araw, tatlong araw na. Hindi, nagulat lang ako kasi di ko masyado isang araw.
Welcome everyone. And welcome to the fifth recording. Oh, the camera's on. I have to turn off this music. I might just get copyrighted. Anyway, welcome to the 15th recording. Remember what I said in the 13th recording that I will cover anything Korean here? Well, here you go. It is requested by popular demand. Not really. It's just that I want to. Okay, so anything Korean, anything that's no Korean. Oh, I'm so confused. I'm sure a lot of you is familiar with Korean culture. You know, K-pop, Korean food, Hallyu even, and all that. Well, as expected, I'm gonna have to give out my opinion on this one. You know, like an opinion article on a newspaper. So, things like this don't need to be said because it's already everywhere. I mean, you go to the jeep and what's the radio there on a Friday afternoon? K-pop. Go home and see any of your female family members do something related to K-pop. Even the stores you go outside, there's got to be at least one Korean or Korean inspired product here in the Philippines. It's almost like we're a Korean colony. I'm serious. And another opinion on this matter, all this Korean influence here in the country, in the Philippines, would it hurt to learn a little of their language? So I had this paper back in 2018. Actually, an activity from school back in Kabsu. I did hear my neck back there. But anyways, moving on from my neck pain. Do I even call it neck pain? But anyway, I'm gonna read it out loud to you on reaction to CHED approving Korean language elective in Philippine high schools. This was back in 2018. So last November 11, 2018, the Commission on Higher Education, CHED, has approved the teaching of the Korean language known as Hangul as an elective in junior high schools. At first glance, it seemed pretty offensive to me as a Filipino citizen. Take note, this was my reaction. And yeah, our instructor or professor wants us to react to this because he'd like to hear our opinion. The professor was a guy. At first glance, it seemed pretty offensive to me as a Filipino citizen. But the more I got into the subject as I dived into the opinions of others, there was a reason. The demand for Filipino workers increases specifically in South Korea. There was a time when other countries like Japan and Germany demanded more Filipino workers, and the ones applying for jobs in those countries are willing to learn their culture and language in our foreign employment agencies. And yeah, if you watch documentaries about about South Korea. They're similar to Japan. You know, Japan as an aging society. Well, Korea is too. And by Korea, we mean South Korea. The Korea we all know and love, and to a lot of people, North Korea is just a piece of garbage. Don't lie, I know you thought of North Korea that way. It's to the rest of to the normal people out there, North Korea is pretty much garbage, while to the memers there, North Korea is what they call best Korea. But anyway, back to this reaction paper that I made on my professor's activity back 2018 about the notion that the Filipino language being replaced by Hangul in junior high schools is being sensationalized by the netizens. It is not true. Looking at it now, it's more of a slippery slope than anything. Or at least the patriotic, nationalistic Filipinos. Continuing the reaction paper that I made for an activity. In fact, it was said by the authorities from CHED that it is an elective, meaning it must be voluntarily taken by willing students or by people accepting their jobs in South Korea. Memes aside, it is good to know that there are people who are willing to defend the Filipino language. But it is better to know the whole story before acting and jumping into conclusions. So that issue with CHED and the Korean language, that was years ago in 2018. But I'm here to talk about the now, other than the reaction paper I've made for my prof. And I did pass their test lang. Yeah. In Kabsu, the highest grade is 1, uno, the lowest one is 5. So I'm pretty mid. Apparently, he's not that impressed. Okay, I'll stop. But anyway, my opinion on anything Korean here is, like I said earlier, we're like a Korean colony. And also, much like us looking up to Japan for Rick, on my last video, I said that the Philippines has a unrequited relationship with Japan, as if it's its crush. On the videos I've watched so far with YouTube and with my mom, who's a avid watcher of Korean drama. Right now she's watching some K-drama about an autistic attorney. What's the name of the K-drama anyways? K-drama is not really my cup of tea. There I go. But back to the topic, what I think of the relationship of the Philippines and South Korea is it's more of a mutual understanding between the two, unlike Philippines and Japan. Again, Japanese and Filipinos to Japanese, it's like an unrequited crush. Filipinos on Koreans, however, it's like a mutual understanding, or MU. Even though that they're not really related much, you know, we Filipinos were more Austronesian people with a lot of foreign influences. Koreans, on the other hand, are largely influenced by the Chinese, the Japanese, a Confucian society. But in modern times here, we kind of get each other. We kind of get each other, you know. Both Korea and Philippines got screwed over by Japan in the early days of the 20th century. Both got screwed over by the Japanese, and a lot of people think Korea and the Philippines are punching bags of Asia. It's just that Korea took it well, and they took it well and made themselves successful, unlike here in the Philippines, which is why we look up we kind of look up to them and saying how do they do it, how do they keep themselves afloat while being remembered as an Asian punching bag. I mean, with the Philippines is a much more of an Asian punching bag, colonization, storms, corruption, and all that. We for the most part were weak, but it doesn't hurt to look to others for her inspiration on how to better our country. But back to Korea here. I must say before ending this video, I just wanted to say that they're there are they're experts in dramas and entertainment. I mean, because of K-pop influence, we have group bands like MNL48 and SB19, and yes, I listen to their music because even though it's Korean inspired, it's P-pop, I see P-pop as the next big thing in Asian music. I kid you not. They're the next big thing in Filipino music, and I might just make a video on my opinion on how can we make P-pop known around the world. Sorry about my nose and face scratching. I didn't take a bath yet. Yeah, go make fun of me for not taking a bath. I dare you. I'm gonna roast you right back. And anyways, this is going to be the end of the 15th recording. I had to keep these videos shorter and having less cuts. Storage issues. I record everything on my phone. The first and second and third, it's on my iPad. And that too has storage problems. So yeah, I'm kinda having a problem with some equipment here. I have to work with the limitations of my hardware here. So yeah, it's the end of the 15th recording. I hope to see you again in the next one. Bye! Until the next.
시청해주셔서 감사합니다. 다음까지.
새벽이 찾아와